Hello, welcome to Best Retro Games. Today we won't be speaking about games exactly, but about two pieces of 90s software which remains my favorite non-gaming software to this day. We'll be speaking about Broderbund's Discover Space. You might know Broderbund, they also made quite a lot of games, as well as we will be speaking about 3D Studio 4.0. And I will also share a small story how I used these two pieces of software to help me win the national championship of astronomy when I was in high school back in 1998 in a country named Macedonia. So let's give it a try. Let's start with the first one with Discover Space and let's see what it's all about. So you see right from the start the music is just excellent. Yeah, I think I might be making maybe the soundtrack of this excellent music. Discover Space. Discover Space was developed in 1992 by Broderbund Software. This was the 90s, and in 1992, to give you reference, Star Trek: The Next Generation was running in the 5th season. As you can see, it's kind of an encyclopedia of space. Basically, anything and everything that you would want to know about space on a basic level. Back in 1992, if you wanted to learn about space, you didn't have much choice. There were a couple of channels on TV, and if you wanted to learn something, you had to buy magazines, hope for some article, or maybe visit the library for some boring book. Here, you have everything into one application. I'd say the most useful maybe is the star maps. Basically, you can turn on the skyline and you can find any star you want. This is a realistic representation of the night sky. Here, if I turn south, as you can see, it's quite slow. So let me try to include the cycles. I'm using DOSBox to emulate it, so I can increase the speed of my processor. Right now we're at 44,000 cycles, and it's much better. If I look at the south, I can see the Milky Way. I can see different stars. These are all real stars. Obviously, I can turn on different stuff from astrology, from astronomy. I can put the star labels here. Here we have Altair, one of the famous stars. I can put the horizon off, for example, yeah. Or I can change the place of my living. Unfortunately, right now I live in a city like this, so I can see very little amount of stars on my sky. So let's go back. So yeah, you can do a lot of stuff with here. You can change the time when this is happening. You can animate it. You can see how it's automatically turning. So it's quite an excellent piece of software for 1992. Back at that time, I was taking part of astronomy sessions. I got chosen to participate in some workshops. And even though we had some telescopes, the only way to look at the stars was just read some paper maps and try to find the star on the sky. So as you might imagine, having this software available, it made it easier to find any objects that you would like to observe, where it is and how to find it. You also have astronomy view, a sphere. Basically, you can find the entire sky here. You can even zoom. Yeah, amazing, right? Again, keep in mind this is 1992. Most people at that time they didn't even know what's a computer, so this was just amazing to have. Unfortunately, I got it only a few years later. Obviously, here you can pick your position from where to view. So if I go to Australia, obviously the sky will be very different, especially if I go to the skyline view. So that's one functionality of the software. Here we have some mythology. Yeah, we can read something about it. You have all the famous signs. So quite interesting software. The celestial sphere, we already saw it. Now if we go back, we can have a look at the sun. We can have a look at the composition of the sun. We see what are solar flares. Yeah. Again, the music just awesome, pure awesomeness. I mean, back in the day I didn't have any sound blasters, any ad-libs, nothing. So having this Roland MT32 playing, it would have been a dream for me. But many years later, I finally got to it. Yeah. Here we have a lot of information on the sun. And this is awesome. If you go, not here, if you go to the composition of the sun, nice animation, you can find all the pieces of the sun, how it turns on each other, how they turn on each other, and you can investigate them. Again, for somebody who likes astronomy, even today, I'm pretty sure you would find this software quite useful. To be honest, not much of software made in the DOS era comes close to the level of artistry of art that is done here and the level of skill that is done. Keep in mind, this entire program can fit on 4 diskettes. It has about 5.5 megabytes. Very small. Okay, you can also go and look at the solar eclipse. Let's see when will be the next solar eclipse. Right. We go. Oh, South America. So my South American friends, you will be quite in for some treat this Christmas. You will have a full solar eclipse. So yeah, this again, using this software, you back then in 1992 you could find all the solar eclipses. You can have simulations. You can find everywhere where they are. Very cool. That was before the internet, before any of this information was available. Of course, these days you can find everything online. You also have the planets. This is cool. You have the orbital motions of the planets. Not many publicly, mainstream software has the right scale. Here at least we have the right scale of the solar system. Back in the day, Pluto still used to be a planet. And again, to the tune of some really nice music, you can see how the planets are turning. I have to make this into a soundtrack. I would love to listen to this one at night, helping me relax. And if I go and see the Earth, this is where I got my idea to use this software together with 3D Studio to create a nice 3D animated model of the Moon and Earth, which helped me won the national championship of astronomy. If I go to the animation, here you can see some animation of planet. Basically, this gave me the idea. And I also used a piece of this software. I took this map, screenshot it, cropped it, and used it as a material in 3D Studio. I'll show you how it's done later. Because again, back in the day, if you wanted a bitmap of Earth, you were out of luck. You should have drawn it yourself or maybe found it from some copy of some game or somewhere. No internet, no nothing. Yeah, again, we also have the composition of the planet. Awesome stuff. We have the atmosphere, the core, the mantle, everything. This software, this is just incredible for that time. Even today, again, if you're a fan of astronomy, you could easily spend a week reading on all of this data. I have also some cool stuff like the order of the planets, yeah, and I have the rotational period of the planets. Very cool. I think this should be in every classroom today, even. Why it's not so? It's beyond my understanding. We don't need really books. We just need kids to play around with applications like this, even though they're 30 years old. Yeah, we have representation of the planets, how far they are. Quite funny stuff. So let's see what's next. What else we have? The deep sky objects, also amazing. You can read about black holes here. Yeah, and the artwork is just amazing. I think these are real photos, to be honest. What else we have? Comets and asteroids. So this shows you some of the more famous asteroids we have around Earth. Yeah, you can read about them. And we even have an asteroid impact simulator. Okay, so let's do it. Let's try to hurtle down a big, big rock. 5 kilometers diameter. Speed, how about 30 kilometers per second? Let's see what happens. Texas is out. Yeah, it could destroy the entire state, and I think there is another level where you can basically cause extinction level of the entire Earth. Let's get it to max and see what happens. So we're at 20 kilometers diameter. 20 kilometers. I mean, it's nothing. Yeah, it's the size of a small city. And if that falls on Earth, what will happen? Yep, Texas is completely destroyed. And it's being said that 65 million years ago this killed the dinosaurs. Similar impact. Then the last one is space exploration. You can find here some of the observatories that we have. We have ground-based observatories. It tells you who they are. And the most famous one, the Hubble telescope. Again, you can read a lot about it. Yeah, the software, it was nice. See, everything is very optimized. No icons flashing around, no download packages, nothing that you need to buy. You have everything in one place, and it's quite fast and quite elegant because they had to save a lot of space and they couldn't put any useless stuff here. Everything had to be optimized. Here we have some history of the probes that we have flying around. I will not bother with it. Manned space flight, you can see the software is old because only the United States and Soviet Union was flying. When this came out, Soviet Union had been disbanded just 2 years ago. So quite interesting and a nice view into the history. This is my favorite part. It was giving predictions what will happen in the next 10, 25 years and so on. They got it right with the space station, not so much right with the launch vehicles. Right now, I think Musk is launching something in 2 days. First manned flight in 9 years from USA. Mars rover, this came true. Mars balloon, yes, I think we did something like that as well. And asteroid flybys, we even managed to land on asteroids by now. So these were correct predictions. What about 25 years? Yeah, not many space stations went around Earth. Luna City also didn't happen. Orbital tourism, not yet. Solar power satellites, yeah, this one they got it correct. L5 habitat, I don't think so. And manned Mars missions by 2020 or 2025. Tough luck. So we were big optimists, as you can see, in the 90s. Now I think we have slowed down a bit. And if we see in 100 years, it looks more like a science fiction space game than actual prediction. But it's quite fun. It's quite interesting to read. So yeah, that's a really nice piece of software, and I highly recommend that you check it out. Again, it's something that is worth remembering. I found only one video on YouTube speaking about it, and I think this software deserves more focus even today. And big thanks to the authors, to the original authors, the Broderbund company of this software. It really changed my life, helped me win those competitions, got me a scholarship, and all of that. So let's get to the next one. Let's get to 3D Studio. Okay, let's fire it up. Ah, 3D Studio. If you don't know what's 3D Studio, it's basically software, quite serious software today, 3D Studio Max. It's used to create a lot of stuff. You can model basically you can model many objects in it, 3D objects. You can use them to animate and so on. But you will see once I show you some of the stuff. You will see. So let's see some of the. Let's see some of the. So let's see some of the default projects that we find here. Alpha. Wow. Let's see something more, something cooler. Okay, okay. Chopper looks nice. Yes. Nice. So you see, you have 3 views of the model. It's a 3D model. Back in that day, if you wanted to see how the model looks like, well, you didn't have much options. You cannot see it in real time. You had to render it. So let's set up a render. Let's see configuration. Okay, options, shadows. Oh, ray tracing. We want to use ray tracing, right? Okay, so let's render our view. We go only to the display, right? Resolution. Okay, let's see what happens. Yeah, back in the day, if you wanted to render anything on an old PC, you would have to wait like an hour or two. Looks nice. Looks nice. Awesome. Now, let's see something else. What else we have here? Chevy. I remember this one. So back in the day, a lot of the magazines for PC reviews, when they got a new PC out, they would test the performance of said PC by rendering this exact image. So let's see how fast it takes with 100,000 cycles on DOSBox. Well, not that fast, not so slow. As you can see, it's quite complex image, so it's taking a while. I think you can see even the rendering screen if I toggle it. Yeah, you can see it in a little bit of lower quality. Still rendering, we're still rendering. Render. Nice. So for 90s level, this was as good as it could get in 3D. Of course, these days, I mean, you can run real time anything you want. Okay, now let me show you. Now let me show you how I actually used Okay, now let me show you how I actually used 3D Studio to help me win that competition. So top, we're going to define our viewports first, front and none. Okay, so basically I created a model of the moon and Earth. Moon spinning around the Earth. how to do that. So let's create the moon first. We're going to create a sphere. Faces, let's put a little bit more complex sphere. And we're going to create it from the top. Up. Here we have our moon. Job well done. If you want to navigate, you have to click buttons. This is DOS, right? Okay. Now we want to rotate the moon around its axis. So we are going to create a shape, a circle. To be honest, if you want it to be quite accurate, you would have to make it a little bit elliptical, but we're not going to do that. We are just going to prove a point. And we have created a shape, big one. We go back now to the keyframer. That's the software module used for animation. We are going to get the path from the shaper, and we are going to... What are we going to do? We should assign it to our object. Yes. And if we show the path, shaper, okay. Yes. Now I see what happened. And here we see our path. So if I move the frames now, see the moon is traveling around it. So the only thing we need left to do is create our Earth. We go back to 3D editor. And no, not yet. First we need to see where we are. Where are we? We have lost ourselves. Where are you, moon? Okay. So here we create our Earth. It should be a little bit bigger. Okay, and we go back to the keyframer to put it right in the middle. So then the Earth should be turning around. Yeah, but we need to make it a little bit bigger. The moon should go a little bit further. So we go back to the 2D shaper to change a little bit our path. Modify, polygon scale. Okay, much better. Let's try it now. Again, we use keyframer, paths, get it, we assign it to our moon. Much better. Okay, could be better, but yeah, you get the point. And now we can see that the moon is turning around our Earth. What do we do next? We can put some lights. We can put a spotlight. We can put create, and it should be shining from the side, so then it becomes clearer. Create it, okay. And we move it a little bit further away, so then it simulates a little bit better the type of light that is given by the sun. And let's see what we have. I think now we can do a simple render and see where we stand. So if I go into render, we render this view and see what happens. Yes, we render to screen only. Oh, I'm rendering the animation. No, I don't want to do the entire animation. Render just a single frame. Excellent, we have our Earth and Moon. Now how do we make it look like the real Earth? We go into materials and we do our own material. Remember those images that I showed you from deep space? Yeah, I already screenshot them and pasted them. And if I go and have a look at them, Here we have a picture of the Earth. Not quite accurate, right? Because Targa sometimes it messes up the blue and red component, so I just had to shift it. So I'm going to create a new material, render a sample, not looking good. But if I do this, I RGB change it. My RGB changes, we changed red into blue and blue into red. Roses are reds, violets are blue, and our Earth should be excellent. Then we name the material. Let's call it Earth Blue. Okay. Material. We put the material into Earth B. Fine. And we should be good. Library, we save the library. Okay. Just in case. And we go back to our 3D, or let's go directly to the keyframe editor. So now it's time to assign our material. We choose our material. And we go into Earth Blue. Okay, where is our Earth? Where is our Earth? Here it is. And we choose it, as we chose it, we assign it to an object. Okay, then we also have to map it, apply it to the type. We have to map it in a spherical alignment. The material should be applied in a spherical format. And let's see what happens now. Great, we have our Earth. And so on. We can continue like this, mapping the material to the Earth, mapping the material to the Moon, and for a nice touch we also add the background. I'm not going to bother you with that. We don't want this video to last 3 hours or 2 hours, so I'll just show you the project that I did. I already did that in the background. So let's have a look. Oh yeah, I need to load the project. Call it Moon. Yes. And we load the project. It was not Moon, it was Sphere, called Sphere. Right, here we are. And here you see I already played with it, defined also a camera, and the Moon was turning around the Earth. So if we use a render here, we go to keyframer, we render it. Let's see my render. Do I use? Oh, I need ray tracing, right? Render the view. Single frame. Let's see what happens. No, we don't want to file. We don't just want to display. Okay. Awesome. We have our MoonEarth simulator. Now let's try to render the whole thing. Let's try to render it all and see what happens. Okay, now we can have a look at our result. This used to 3D Studio used to save it as flicks. I don't know why it was called flicks. So yeah, let's have a look how it looks like. The final result. It's quite awesome. As you can see here, you can see the Earth, you can see the Moon. It's traveling around the Earth. Basically, what I did was just rotate one of the sides of the Moon so it's always turned to the Earth. Here we have a new moon. If you are standing on Earth, you cannot see anything from the moon because the sun is not illuminating it. If you have a look at it here, obviously you can see only half of the moon, and if you are here, you can see all of it, so it's full moon. It was quite simply, you just rotate the moon once, and in that one rotation you rotate the Earth 27 times, and this is what happens. In the competition, the teacher was so impressed that she kept asking me if I wrote this myself. So I had to very complexly explain to her that I didn't write it, so to speak, with pen and paper. I did not type it, but I used a 3D modeling program to create it. So this was the 90s, and I don't think she had ever even seen any 3D animation whatsoever on a computer. So they were very, very impressed, and together with my photos of the moon that I had taken, it was clear first place. To be honest, I was not even planning on making this, but my teacher convinced me. She said she knew I was very good with computers. She said, hey, the photos you took of the moon are quite nice. I photographed the moon during the entire month, so all the phases. But you should also make something on your computer. I said, I don't know, what should I make? Draw the moon? She said, yeah. So I remembered Discover Space, I remembered 3D Studio, and in a couple of days with playing around, I created this really nice, interesting model. And even today, 30 years later, I had a lot of fun playing with it. That's all from me. If you liked it, make sure to click like. If you want to see what will be next with my best retro games, click subscribe. Until next time, have a great day, have a great evening wherever you are, and don't forget to look at the stars for inspiration. Goodbye and good night.